Hey all, welcome back to another deck profile. Today I have for you my Cyber Dragon deck, my personal favorite deck as of right now. If I had to pick one deck to use solely in any game or duel against a person, I would pick my Cyber Dragon deck just because it is my favorite. I love it. So, jumping right into the deck profile, of course I run the 3 Cyber Dragons. I remember a time when these were at 1. Luckily they're back at 3. I also run 3 Cyber Eltanins. Now, this is getting into the core function of my deck that I want to try to establish. So my deck is an anti-meta deck to some degree. That's what it plays off of more so. So Cyber Eltanin is a big piece of that. All you need is at least one machine light card in either your graveyard or your field, and you can special summon this guy. So the big part is when this guy is special summoned, all of their cards, all their monsters on the field just are sent to the graveyard. That's easy as it is. So this is a great way of stopping and taking out a lot of boss monsters and big setups like Noble Knights and Cosmo and a whole bunch of other guys like that. This is probably the best card in my deck for the anti-meta theme, but he's not the only. But moving on to a different topic, I have Galaxy Soldier. 3 of them, because they're light machine type monsters, level 5, and perfectly fit for this deck. So their main purpose, and basically their only purpose, is to, well, they also send cards to the graveyard and search out cards, but to make rank 5 Cyber Dragon Nova and my Constellar Pallades. Now for both of these, I have basically the evolved form, a 1 rank higher that only requires the previous ranked monster to bring out. So Cyber Dragon Infinity, the boss monster of this deck, easily the most deadly card, and people hate this card more than any card I find, so I definitely run 3 of them. Also, I run the Constellar M7 guy here. I'm not even try to pronounce that name, but he, just when I run out of Xyz materials for this, I can just use this one just when I need a little bit of extra put cards back in the hand type of thing and I run out of the material. He is really good to have just to not make my card as completely useless as it is when it runs out of Xyz material, and he also does have an attack gain, so that's nice as well. So I kind of dove into the extra deck there, but that's the big reason of Galaxy Soldier, so I wanted to make sure that was firmly established. But now we're moving back into Cyber Dragon 3, who also makes level 5 plays. So when he's summoned, all Cyber Dragons become level 5, if you choose. So if he brings out himself and you have any other Cyber Dragons, even himself becomes level 5. So that just assists with rank 5 plays. I do run 2 Honest. So like I said, this is an anti-meta deck, so I usually only get 1 or 2 chances to attack life points directly, or overpower a monster completely. So Honest, because a lot of the lower level monsters need a little bit of protection, I use Honest just to help keep my field alive and not lose a battle phase out for any reason. I also still run the Cyber Dragon cores. I only have the 1 target for him, the Cyber Repair Plant, but his ability to banish himself from the graveyard to special summon a Cyber Dragon from your deck, that is really helpful as well, since I do spend a lot of time sending cards to the graveyard. And lastly, for my monster lineup, I do run 3 Cyber Valleys. Now, this is an odd card for a lot of people, but I use him for his amazing stall ability and his recyclability. A lot of the decks are unprepared for this style of stalling, a monster stall like this, so it's really good. And even if they do negate, I just use his effect as is instead of waiting for the battle phase to come around to either draw 2 cards or to target a card. I also still run 3 because I use machine duplication fairly frequently, and I still have 1 in my side deck, as you can see, but having that is another target for my machine duplication to bring out many cards. So on many occasions I do bring out all 3 Cyber Dragon Valleys, and that is a really huge stall, so that gives me the time to draw the cards I need. And another big thing about this deck is a stalling capability needed to get that 1 turn kill, or sometimes even a couple turn kills by taking the board completely. So not a widely known fact, but reason I have machine duplication for a large part of this is Cyber Dragon Core Its name is Cyber Dragon while it's on the field, so Machine Duplication actually special summons 2 Cyber Dragons from your deck, giving you 2 easy level 5 monsters for an Exist summon. But that's enough about the monsters for right now. Let's move on to firmly the spell and traps. So starting off with the spells, I have One Day of Peace, another awesome stall card, perfect for first turn situations when I either have to go first or when I go second and I'm still setting up a little bit more. Now I still run 3 power bonds, and a large part of me actually wants to remove some of these power bonds. I'm thinking of only keeping 1 power bond and adding in more tech support cards. The power bond is something of my previous build. I'm seeing if I want to phase out, and currently I have not needed to phase it out as I never draw into it more frequently than I need it. That being said, these are the only targets, these 3, and I guess Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. So I only have 4 targets for him in my entire extra deck, because Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, on the other hand, does not need to be fusion summoned by the conventional ways. Like I said, I run the 3 Cyber Repair Plants, probably a necessity for the draw ability, and plus I usually just pick Cyber Eltanin out of any card to bring. Usually him, and depending on if I have Machine Duplication, I sometimes go for the Cyber Dragon Core. I still run the 1 limiter removal, of course. It's why it's at 1. This is what really makes a 1-turn kill. If you can max out an 8,000 attack monster, or even more than that depending on what you bring out, you can do some serious damage, because you might only get the 1 chance to make a move, and that's what I like to go for. I like to find that 1 chance, play my cards just right to get that 1 opportunity, and then just let them have it. I still have a Twin Twister, mostly just for back row and field spell destruction. This is a good card to choose over Mystical Space Typhoon, because in this deck you do still want to have a few cards to get monsters into the graveyard for Eltanin's ability, in case you already use your normal summon and it gets banished or something like that. It has happened frequently, so Twin Twister is the choice I would recommend for any back row destruction or field spell targeting. And then to keep with the fusion engine, I still have Cybernetic fusion support, which depending on which program you use, YGOPRO actually does have it in its code, and it does follow the official binding, so this is how it actually works. Your Cyber Dragon Core can search out Cybernetic fusion support, which is pretty awesome. Some other dueling programs I've tried actually doesn't allow it, which I thought was weird, but in my YGOPRO deck I do have it in here. Usually second game, depending on who I'm fighting, 2 power bonds and a Cybernetic fusion support leave the deck for a Raigeki, another Machine Duplication, stuff like that. So just so you're aware, it is really good for assisting in a big fusion summon of Chimera Tech over Dragon here, to get his power at the maximum it could possibly be, using all of your graveyard cards as well. But now getting into the more engine that kind of carried over from my previous deck, more than any engine in this deck, is my trap lineup. I moved out all 3 of my trap stuns that were a staple for this deck for me for so long, and it's odd not having them in there now, but the meta's just shifted so far away from traps that I just don't feel trap stuns are needed, so they reside on my side deck for decks that are of late, not really tier 1 meta decks anymore. That being said, I just run 3 Threatening Roar. Just the ability to stop your opponent's battle phase from really being effective at all is such a huge advantage in this deck. I cannot stress, if you have any empty slots, Threatening Roar to help your stall potential is huge. I also run the 3 Reckless Greets. Now, the people I fight always laugh at me when I just keep all 3 of these down. I just burst all 3 of them up, giving me 6 cards in my hand and only taking the penalty of 2 draw phases. That's the power of running 3, so you have to run all 3. You can't just run 1, can't run 2, you should run all 3. And the big thing about this deck is getting all the cards you need to make a play, and Reckless Greed just makes that happen. And now moving on to the star card of this that really actually cripples so many decks in the meta right now. ABCs kind of cripple themselves against this deck because they're all machine types, but DNA Surgery. DNA Surgery will change the typing of all monsters on the field to a type you declare. So I always say machine, which ruins a lot of equip spells, a lot of flip effects with psychics. So DNA Surgery is a big piece of the meta deck killer of this deck profile here. Basically, you use that for the meta stopping, but you use it so you have even more opportunity to go into Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. So, for those who don't know, you just take one Cyber Dragon and then any machine types on the field. So you can use your opponents. So that's another way of sending cards away from the face-up field without destroying them or targeting them, essentially. So that's a big way of stopping a lot of the boss monsters and other big plays of the decks of late. So that is my main deck there. Now, I've pretty much already discussed my extra deck. You gotta run 3, and you gotta run 3. I only run the 1, and then the backup one. Always run 3 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons in a Cyber Dragon deck, especially if you have the DNA Surgery. I keep 1 Cyber Twin, just for those powerhouse when you only have 2 Cyber Dragons. This is more of a special summon card for when Cyber Dragon Nova leaves the field. Over Dragon for Chimera Tech Fusion support, and Rampage Dragon just is a little bit of extra need. He is a dark type, so I don't usually go into him unless I really need to, but he's more so just back row destruction as well. And that being said, moving on to my side deck, which is actually missing a card which is no longer available in YGOPRO. So that was it's an OCG card, and that just allows me to get more cards in the graveyard when I need, and lets me a little bit more selection of such. I just have a few extra fusion cards just in case I need during game 2. And then I also run just an extra Constellar if I need to start sending cards back to the hand more frequently, and if I need to go for more rank 5 engine against my opponent. He's always really good. Gachigatsu Gantensu is another card I carried over from my previous deck profile. I think I'm going to remove him for a new Xyz. I'm going to spend some time and look at better Xyz. If you guys have any suggestions, I always appreciate them, so let me know. My side deck is probably the one that needs the most work in this deck profile for sure. The spell cards on my side deck, I still have the Instant Fusion. I was thinking of putting this at more than 1, but I never add more than 1 to my deck, so I didn't think it would really be necessary in that sense. He's more so just for the 1 Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon to bring him out and assist in some rank 5 plays. That's why he's in there as well. I also have the Regeki. This is not as anti-meta, as it does destroy cards in the field, so that's a destruction effect, where most of my cards are send cards to the graveyard, so they can slip by that destruction effect and negation. So I also have the other machine duplication like I said earlier, but I also have Foolish Burial, just to help me get cards in the graveyard for my Cyber Eltanin. Just a little bit of extra fodder. The Mystical Space Typhoon, like I said, I don't really use. This is more just a placeholder when I really need help with the back row. I'm thinking it's more so of test. I think I'm just going to probably remove this completely for a second Twin Twister in here for when I need it. A card I don't see many people use, Burial from a Different Dimension. So with me banishing cards left and right, this is a really helpful card to add 3 targets back into my graveyard from my banish pile. So I always have that in there for games that run a little bit longer than most. And then lastly, I only have 3 trap stuns. So another set I brought over from the previous one, like I said. And I really just keep it in here for decks that focus on trap cards, which is not very many nowadays. So I thank you very much for watching my deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I love hearing them. I just want to improve this deck. This is my favorite deck, and I haven't been able to find enough advice or support on it, so I'm hoping this may generate some. I'm really looking forward to hearing back on that, and I'm thinking I will make a reprised version of this for the next ban list that will be a whole nother level. But for right now, this is the best I can do from the testing that I've done so far. But then again, thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one. As always, peace.